Today marks a pivotal moment in South Africa's journey towards democracy. On February the 11th in 1990, the world witnessed as Nelson Mandela emerged from Cape Town's Verster prison, a free man, after spending 27 years in prison. To commemorate the 35th anniversary of the former president's release, the Nelson Mandela Museum, in partnership with the Iziko Museum and Robben Island Museum, will be hosting a roundtable discussion, reflecting on the lessons learned since Madiba's release and his long walk to freedom. Our reporter Latashia Naidoo is covering that event and joins us now. Latashia, there's so much to reflect on. It's hard to believe it's 35 years. 35 years, the 31st anniversary of his release. That time has really, really flown. But so much has happened in South Africa as well. And I wonder if that roundtable will reflect on some of the current events. We know that President Mandela had a cordial relationship with his US counterparts. Things certainly have changed these last few decades.
Good morning, Iman. Yes, it's an incredibly important milestone anniversary in our country's transition towards democracy, that long, hard-won fight for freedom, which late former President Nelson Mandela was instrumental in bringing about. And today, 35 years ago, that image that's etched in the minds of the world and all those who remember him walking out of Verster prison on the 11th of February 1990, flanked by his then wife, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, right arm raised in the air in a clenched fist, celebrating his freedom after 27 years in prison as a free man. And Iman, that moment, such a poignant moment in history, but also reflective of just how far South Africa has come as a nation, 31 years into democracy. And speaking to those tensions currently boiling with the United States, like you mentioned, the late former president enjoyed favorable relationships with his US counterparts. So it's going to be interesting to note whether speakers at today's roundtable discussion, like former finance minister and former mentee and friend of the late Madiba, Trevor Manuel, will actually touch on those points, particularly in relation to the allegations of stoking racial tension between black South Africans and right-wing Afrikaner groups. But today, a moment to reflect on just how far we've come as a nation, transitioning from the brutality of that apartheid regime to now 31 years of democracy, 35 years since that all-important day of Madiba walking out of prison a free man. And of course, I was a toddler back when he was released, but speaking to so many people who recall seeing him at Cape Town City Hall making that iconic speech just after midnight to 100,000 South Africans who'd gathered all day waiting to get a glimpse of him after decades of remaining out of the public eye, making his iconic speech saying that he stood before the people not as a prophet, but as a servant of them, the people. And we, of course, know that 3 years later, Madiba would go on to be elected as the country's first democratic president. Now, today's roundtable discussion will reflect on everything that's happened in those 35 years, focusing on the transition to democracy, but also the lessons learned in Madiba's own journey, incarcerated for 27 years. And there's going to be discussions and talks by the likes of Trevor Manuel, Dr. Vianney Boy, who is the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Museum, and I'm told representatives from the Mandela family, as well as former prisoners who were on Robben Island with Madiba. So today, a very important day for South Africa, Iman, as we reflect on that day back in 1990, the ending of one era and the transitioning into a new era, watching Nelson Mandela walk out of incarceration after 27 years behind bars, fighting for the freedoms that we now enjoy today, Iman.
And